when I'm working with new YouTubers right now, the one piece of advice I usually give them is pick the scalable solution to your problem now. Because the situation that I ran into was that, you know, Amazon is my biggest affiliate program. You can go to Amazon, set up an associates account. If people aren't familiar with it, you get a
Hi, and welcome to The Road to Revenue. This is the podcast where we talk to creators to understand the bumps in the journey, the twists, the turns on their individual road to revenue. Joining me today is the absolutely wonderful Peter von Panda. Welcome, Peter.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Lee. I am so excited to be here and talk about all things that are a little more behind the scenes of what people get to see on the channel.
Do you know what? And we are super curious to understand what the wisdom and little nuggets of knowledge that you've picked up. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about your channel?
Yeah. So I run the Peter von Panda channel, and that has been up for over a decade now. I actually started in my kitchen in my condo here in Chicago, and was really just sharing things that I had around the house that I found super useful. That's really just kind of how it started, and it was totally sporadic. Anything from kitchenwares to technology. And then when the iPad came out, and that was really new, and I really wanted one, but it was really hard to find any information about cases or covers because it was just a different groundbreaking device. And so at that time, when I bought the iPad, I just started showing all of the little things that I could use with my iPad and like the products that were coming out. And now everyone knows about them all. But at the time, there wasn't really much. And so what that ended up doing was giving me a little bit of that kind of view addiction because people were coming and discovering my videos. And that was just really how it started. So when that started happening, I just really started realizing that there is a need for people who have questions about products, particular products that help improve our lives, make things easier, make things a little funner. And that's really what I wanted to focus on. So my channel is taking the stuff that I find interesting, just myself personally, you know, whether it's something I discover on Amazon or ends up in an ad in my feed, or, you know, I just discover it at someone's house. And now a lot of my friends will be, hey, you know, I have this, and they'll show me something that I didn't know about. And so that's what I do. I create these videos, and some are really short, some are a little longer, but pretty much do a daily video on something that I think can help people live a little better.
I think that's the one thing that I really find really interesting about your channel as well, is that there is a huge diversity. You don't seem locked in.
Yes.
Why, why is that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great observation. And the reason is I find weird things entertaining, you know, anything from Star Trek or collectibles to television shows and movies to golf and sports and outdoor equipment and travel, you know, and technology. So I just find a lot of things really interesting. And so I just share them. And to be honest, I never ever once thought at the beginning that this would be a business. I just thought it would be kind of like a blog, like a vlog, and just kind of share my life. And, you know, maybe there would be some people that were interested. And to me, I just thought, you know, hey, this is a way to share with my mom what's going on. And, you know, she watches all the videos. Sometimes she kind of forces her way through some of them because that's not really her topic. But I also remember as I got into this that people would talk about niching down and really have a single theme. And I really thought about that. If I had done that, I thought my problem would be that I would just kind of get burned out. That if I really picked one particular topic that I was even particularly passionate about, I would just have to force feed more content specific to that. And I just didn't want to get into that space where I feel like I'm burned out on this content. I actually watch a lot of golf channels because I definitely do some golf content. But a lot of golf channels will do a video where they say, listen, you know, the products are the same year to year. And I just didn't want to get into that because I have my other life, you know, and when I started, I was working full time for work anyway. And so it was just a hobby, a side hustle. And I just wanted something that I knew I could do because I was going to do it anyway. And so I stayed very diversified. Maybe unfocused is a good word. And I have somehow found at least some people that also like that have these varied interests. And I've been super fortunate about that. But I understand too that if someone is coming for one particular thing, they might see those videos that I produce and watch that series of videos, but they may be totally disinterested in something else. So there's a give and take. There's some trade-offs with it, but I just have found that it works best for my lifestyle and for keeping me engaged.
There's a lot of sense in that. That well, was it variety is the spice of life, right? And why can't it be the spice of a YouTube channel as well?
I agree. And one of the things that I really like the idea of for me is when I discover something, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a particular product. I mean, I've got stuff sitting on my desk here to review, camping equipment or smelling salts or, stress wristbands or whatever, So to me, what I was really hoping is that I don't care where a great idea comes from and I don't care what genre it's in. If it's a great idea that I can use to make things a little smoother, a little easier, a little more fun, then I'm interested in it. And I'm hoping that other people will be too. And even if they're not interested in, say, physical or mental and health and well-being or financial products and services, you just don't never know where the next great idea that's going to kind of flip everything for you and just, man, give you more time back or just make you super happy. So that's what I am really hoping is that, the catchphrase in my logo, I don't really say it a lot on my channel, but it's discover more, explore deeper, live better. And one of those things is the discovery part is I really want to bring some things that people might not cross paths with in their normal day-to-day life.
And how much of that do you have to discover? Like how much of it is intentional or do you happen upon just driven by your own interests?
It's changed over the years. So a lot of it was just me going through stores. The online shopping thing, when I first started this, wasn't even as big as it is now. So a lot of it was just kind of discovering something, maybe seeing something with friends, maybe being recommended something. Now you see so many ads, and because I consume and purchase a lot, I get a lot of ads for kind of weird stuff in my social media feeds and my news feed. So I do discover some things like that. And half the time I'm kind of curious, does that even work? Like they say, it looks like a miracle product. And sometimes I kind of bag on some products because they're good maybe, but they don't shine your car tires like they do in the commercial or the ads. The other thing I get is a lot of email solicitations and companies that say, hey, here are my product. I think this fits with your audience. We would love you to check it out. Here's a link. Or honestly, I just got off a Zoom call with a person that ended up being here local to Chicago, but he's got a great little product, a book that you can write down encrypted passwords. You can write a code in the book so that you can have your passwords so that you don't have those online and hackable. And so it doesn't matter to me where they come from, but now having the channel, it's actually opened up more avenues. And like I said, even when I'm together with some of my friends who know I do YouTube and they watch the channel, they'll even suggest things. Hey, I discovered this thing and it makes awesome coffee, or I discovered this thing and it keeps the baby quiet in the back seat. So it's kind of hard because you're almost always in listen mode, I think sometimes, and you're always kind of discovering and thinking about things inside out. And so it can be a little overwhelming sometimes, but I guess that's what vacation is for too.
So does that mean that you have, and you just mentioned a little while ago that you've got a few products on your desk and around? Does that mean you have this abundance of products that you're waiting to review and get videos out there?
Yeah. I try to keep the area behind the camera here a little less cluttered. It is kind of cluttered to some extent. If you could see this side of the room, it's very cluttered. And then my entire basement is just shelves and shelves of stuff, and sometimes I get something and I don't have time to explore it. So it goes on the shelf. Sometimes I misunderstand something, to be really honest. I'm actually re-reviewing a product that I did a couple years ago that I thought was kind of mediocre. And then someone came back to me and said, oh man, dude, that product changed my life. And then was explaining some of the additional features that I had missed. So I'm re-exploring that and figuring out that it is way better than I initially understood. And so, I can come back to that. And the reality is a lot of people from a video a couple years ago won't remember, or, how the YouTube algorithm kind of favors more recent stuff. And so that's some of the things that I can go back and correct. And sometimes just having some of the stuff and archiving it and having it on the shelves is awesome for that. But it's also awesome for when you do get to the camping trip or the vacation and you're like, hey, I'm taking that solar light, I'm taking that emergency beacon with me, or that fire starter, or whatever it is. So yeah, it's funny. A buddy of mine says, man, you're going to have a really interesting estate sale when you die.
Well, hopefully that's not for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
But I think he does have a very good point. So you talked about not even thinking that this was going to be a full-time occupation, that this wasn't going to be that you had a full-time job, you're just doing on the side, and as a way to connect and keep connected and share a little bit of your experience. But what was that light bulb moment that made you realize, hang on a minute, I can actually bring some revenue around?
I remember that moment. One of the things that I've always done is taking on something with my free time. It's kind of one of those ways that, whether it's ultimate frisbee, it didn't have to be necessarily business, but sometimes they were businesses. I sold hot dogs at a local racetrack here, during the summer sometimes just to make some extra money. And I was always just kind of out there experimenting and just looking for a way to stay fulfilled and, keep yourself entertained and all of that. And so YouTube was coming around, and at the time, it's a different game now, but at the time, they turned on monetization as soon as you set up a YouTube channel. And I think they just didn't have the ads. It wasn't one of those things where they were just trying to entice you in. I think they were trying to figure out the road to monetization themselves, because back in 2011 or 2012, it was pretty nascent and there weren't a lot of creators. I mean, it was just a different time. And that's what I tell people that I work with now that are getting into it. It's a different game. You can't go back to some of those old videos and say, "Hey, this is how you become competitive." It's a totally different game. But to me, where it started becoming real was I was making these videos. I was just making them for myself. I was just making them to try to be helpful. And I think what I realized is that if you are making something that is trying to be helpful because you are trying to solve a pain, and people talk about this in entrepreneurship and business, then you are addressing the demand out there. And so you are naturally going to have some people typing in literally what you're providing. What's the best cover or case for an iPad or whatever it might be? And so you're going to get some of those views. And as I got those views, you started to collect at that time YouTube revenue. I mean, YouTube ad revenue, and it was super small. And in fact, they would show it to me in my YouTube studio, and I just totally ignored it. And this is actually leads into something much later to me. It's just kind of about missing opportunities. But you would see that 1 cent, and it was just uh, kind of weird and abstract, and they wouldn't even pay you out until you hit $100. So, just accumulating that, even when it got to $30, and now you're doing it for a couple years, it seems kind of silly. It doesn't make any sense as a business. And so you just kind of put it on the mind. And then 1 month, I don't remember exactly what year it is, but then I saw in my bank account that I had a deposit for $101. And I looked at it and it said, I think it was called Google AdSense at the time. It was combined with all of the Google revenue services. Now they kind of strip out YouTube separately. But at the time I got this deposit and I was trying to figure it out. And then I realized that my accumulated monetization ad money had gotten me to a payout point. And that's when the light bulb went off that said, I could make money on this. Now, I had no idea that you could make decent money, like income living money on this. But it was the moment that I decided, you know what? I'm doing a limited amount of videos. I made money. If I do more videos, maybe I'll make more money. And if I do more helpful videos, I'll make money. And that's also a point where I decided I'm going to start learning the basics of video editing, because at the time I would just freeform the video, the recording. And you can see that in my early recordings. I'm walking into frame and then I'm walking out at the end, because all I was doing is recording and uploading those. And actually, at one point, I thought about naming my channel One Take Reviews, because that's what I was doing. And it was just like I was going to hang my head on the fact that I did no editing, which was a great choice not to do that. Great choice not to do that, because now people have very short attention spans. But that's how it all started. And then I just didn't have any goals with it or anything. But I remember in the back of my mind thinking, I would love to be able to make more than minimum wage so that I don't have to side hustle with some of the things. Because as you know, a lot of these side hustles, they don't pay a lot, but I was still doing them. But if you're making $5 or $6 an hour, that was at that time was probably what you'd expect. But I thought, man, if I can make $5 or $6 an hour working from home on my own schedule, doing something I enjoy, not having to report to a boss, not having to worry about if the weather's bad, not having to worry about hitting the alarm clock and giving up my Saturday or giving up my weekend, man, that would just be freedom for me. So that's when I really said, all right, I'm going to look at this and try to figure out what people are doing to kind of maximize this opportunity. And that's really where I started going down the rabbit hole of all of it. There are a bunch of pieces. And actually, I'm working on another book. Lee, I've got some books out there, but another book of mine that's almost done right now. And the working title right now is called The Accidental YouTuber, because I never had ever planned on this being a business or my full-time gig or anything like that. So just kind of fell into it. So if a moron can fall into it, smart people can probably make a go of it. And with your tools, with the Genius Links tools, I mean, it's just a game changer. So
obviously you started being more intentional, right? So you saw that revenue come in, made that kind of shift, and started realizing that yes, this could be something greater. At what point did you start leveraging, and not necessarily Genius Link specifically, but what point did you start leveraging some of the tools out there and trying to be more, I guess, intentional with your workflow?
at the time, when you make money, I was practicing the way so you got to use up, client out there. To me, telling me that there were these other revenue streams that you planning to do. Didn't for years ago. And I was watching those other YouTubers, guy YouTubers, those guys are being super helpful. You know, the Sean Cannells, the Daryl Ives of the world, the Tim Schmoyers of the world. In fact, I've taken some of their online courses and cohort things and super helpful. But even then, you know, it wasn't like there was this road to monetization that was really well defined. And so as other people were discovering stuff, they maybe put some stuff out there and then you had to kind of discover it, right? Affiliate sales now is kind of a word that I think is out there and a lot of people at least basically understand, or, you know, influencer marketing and these things. I mean, they've really kind of become mature maybe in the last 5 to 6 years, 7 years. But at the time, it was just another buzzword that didn't mean anything, right? So like affiliate sales and affiliate revenue didn't mean anything to me. But as I had that AdSense layer, the ad revenue on, and I just saw limitations with it. You know, unless you're going to be explosive or viral in something, you're just not going to replace income. And at the time, the rates were much lower too. So you had to kind of figure out something else. And so the next thing that came on was the affiliate revenue. And it was a perfect marriage for me because here I am talking about particular products, right? There's almost always a product featured in my video. Not every video, but sometimes there's 2 or 3 products. If I do like a little camping excursion, right? You're talking about a camping stove and the tent you're taking and the sleeping bag and the vest you're wearing and the boots you're wearing. So it can be anything, right? I mean, and I went to Hawaii on vacation and I was able to monetize that and pay for that vacation because now I'm showing the water pack and the sun hat and the swim gear and the prescription, you know, snorkeling goggles and all this other stuff. And so when I figured out, all right, there is a way and there are vendors and merchants and stores eager to work with you, not necessarily in a formal way, but they will happily pay a commission, and it may be 2, 3, 4%, but they will happily give you that for talking about and directing traffic for them. And you know, the easiest way for me was Amazon, because now there's a whole suite of products and you're not working with those vendors specifically. But if I do get the sale on that, then why shouldn't I get, let's call it the 60 cents or $2 or whatever you make on it, because you're creating real value for them. And so it's a win-win. And so I, you know, have Amazon affiliate links in my thing. And I really think that's that was the next big step. There are some other ways to monetize. You can write a book and sell that. I know some people brand their own coffee, things like that. You know, there are different things that work for different channels. You've got to kind of figure out what works for you. But for me, I definitely have products. So the affiliate sales is the really obvious way to do that. And to me, it's almost frustrating when I look back, because for years I didn't even know about it. And then it even took me a while to kind of figure out the right way to do it. You know, and at first I would actually go to everyone's individual affiliate program and register. So now you're registered with 20 or 30, but then you start getting into hundreds of videos, thousands of videos. That's just not practical to do. And managing all these links, it's not practical to do, especially if you've been doing it for a long time. So I was always looking for better ways, but I didn't want to leave money on the table, because now when I look back and you turn on affiliate sales globally, right? I mean, I have now those affiliate accounts, 6 or 7 different countries. I think you probably know my Genius Links links better than I do. But what ends up happening is that part of it is you're so elated on this side. Wow, I'm bringing in some more revenue. I figured out another way to monetize my channel. It's actually maybe bringing more revenue sometimes than the ad revenue. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you're looking back and you're like, why didn't I do this years ago? You know, so think about all those years you left money on the table. So that's actually what I try to help some of the new YouTubers do, is say, listen, it's going to be a while before you can even get ad revenue. It's going to be a while before you even get views that, even if the monetization was turned on, that are going to be useful or material to your channel. But if you do products, if you have something in there, or maybe even have your own product, hey, I sell grass seeds, or I sell wheatgrass kits myself. Sell that yourself. You don't even need to sell them on Amazon. You can sell them directly on your own store, Shopify store, something like that too. So it's really thinking about the YouTube channel as just your channel within a larger business. And if you can do that, then you've really got something that I think you can, you know, hold on to and build up, and really kind of expand your thinking. And now you've kind of got the right mindset. But if you're thinking about it, just the YouTube channel as a business, I think you're a little bit limited. So if you think about it within the business context, then I think you have more opportunity.
Talk us through some of those other revenue streams. And you obviously you mentioned affiliate, right? And obviously YouTube itself. But what other revenue streams do you have in place at the moment?
Yeah, so the other revenue streams, and I will say this too, preface it, that you kind of need to get over some hurdles. So there's some growth that your channel needs to make before some of these things are unlocked. Now, I will also say this, that I'm probably like here on where channels can be, and so some of these things above me that could probably be unlocked, I don't even know what they are because I haven't even been. It's like when you get invited to the VIP suite at a football game or something, and you didn't even know it existed, and you're like, man, everyone lives like this. So there's some reality to that. But for me, having gone through this journey now, I know at least some of the ones that I'm using. So obviously the ad revenue and the affiliate revenue are probably the first ones, and you don't need any views to start. I mean, you just need to start with those. I mean, you can turn on an affiliate account anywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll create revenue, but at least you can have those on day one. The other things that now I do are some sponsor videos. So, when you get to a certain size and a vendor or company has a product, and maybe they want to launch a new product or new model or something like that, and it fits your audience, and they'll want to see your press kit. They'll want to understand where your views are coming from and your demographic, and some of those things, and the income levels. And so you won't even have one of those until you get to a certain level, but then you can send them, and that will help some of those companies say, hey, listen, we'd be willing to partner up with you. Now, I don't do a lot of those. You have to do some FTC compliance things, and advertise disclosures and things like that. And they are can be really helpful to a lot of people too. So it's not that I don't like doing those. um, so you can also do some sponsorships where people say, hey, this video is brought to you by whoever, and those are kind of nice. Those take 30 seconds out of your video. I have done some of those in the past. I have usually moved away from a lot of that. I actually did a poll even with my viewers just about, do you mind if I do those? Because to me, I don't mind that people do them, but I tend to skip ahead when I watch those. And so, are you getting the full value? Now, the ones I like are when they really are a good fit for the audience. So I do keep my eyes open for those, and so I will do them, but I really want it to be a natural fit for myself, something that I really like and that doesn't feel like awkward, like, download this app or whatever. And then on top of that, you can do some other stuff. I mean, you can set up your own business. So I do have a company. I have a S corporation, so I have some employees. You can sell products and merch. So I have a couple of merch stores where people can buy stuff, say things like mugs or hats. And that doesn't necessarily produce a lot of revenue for me, but every now and then you'll see some sales come through. The other thing, and I'll throw this on there too, is if you start establishing a reputation, you can sell a book or an online course, right? Or your own material. And those are really nice because now instead of getting like a 4% margin, you could get like a 40% margin, right? So you might not sell as many of them because you're only going to sell them to the people within your ecosystem. I mean, maybe some people fall on stuff, but if you have like a really strong following, then you could find even a minority of those people that really want what you've got, whether it's merch or coffee or, Doug DeMuro sold autograph photos, whatever you think that people want and you can deliver, that's great. Some people will also just do shout outs. So I have a Patreon and a Subscribe Star and YouTube channel memberships where people can subscribe monthly and they're just kind of supporting their creator. Now, I've never really double down on those. I don't have a lot of revenue coming in there, but I do remember when I first got my very first members on those, I was so moved, to think that someone is going to send you voluntarily $1 or $5, right? And then the other thing that I can think of too is the super chat. So for a while, I was doing live streams, and I'm kind of coming back to that a lot. You usually have to be live for those, but when you're live and people are watching, they can send you money. And then a lot of people try to give a shout out. I usually will do that, but honestly, I had that turned on, and I still remember the first time I got a super chat, I almost broke down and cried on my live stream because I never expected it, right? And someone sends you $5, and it's just one of those things that for me, man, to see people that have that much either buy-in or um, gratitude or whatever it is for what you're doing is just to me really moving. And so maybe I should be more desensitized to it, but you know I just know it's kind of hard to climb that mountain. It's hard to make the money. It's hard to go out there and grind every day. And so when people part with money personally, that's just a huge sign for me. And it's just, you know, it just shows that, people are voting with their feet. And so I have the best community. I have some people who have been with me for years. They watch every video. It's amazing. I've gotten to know some great people. I've run into people out in the real world sometimes randomly. So it's been everything I could have ever hoped for and more so. And I don't even know that I could list downsides of it. It's been really a true blessing to me.
You know what? That's absolutely incredible, and great that you really put not just yourself, like at the center of it, and thinking about the products that you review, and making sure that you don't burn out, but making sure that you're involving your audience in that journey, in terms of the types of content, the types of sponsorship that you take on. I think that's a really it's really wholesome, I think, and it's a really productive way to build up a really solid community. You said you've bumped into people out there. When did engagement start on your channel, right? Like, rather than not just in the real world, but actually online, when did you start feeling people engaging with you? And even before your super chat, what was that like?
Yeah, so even before I discovered Gary Vee, and he kind of has a thing like you've got to respond to every comment. One of the things that I was doing, especially when you're early in this career, you get a certain views. There is a funnel to things, right? There are impressions that turn into clicks, that turn into views. This gets smaller and smaller. So when you get to the views part, what's going to be smaller are people clicking through to buy the product,
Mhm.
or even smaller, people commenting, right? Not everyone is going to put a comment. And a lot of people say like, subscribe, comment. I don't say that. I used to actually say that. I don't say that anymore. But a small minority of those people are actually going to comment. And so,
Mhm.
especially at the beginning, I wouldn't get very many comments. And that was something that was nice because I could respond to those comments. I could answer the questions. Sometimes people had a technical question about something. I mean, they still do, but you could respond to those because honestly, it was like one a week. Maybe it was, right? So it was pretty easy to manage that. Now, over the years, it's become harder to manage, right? I don't think I have the capability to respond to every comment. I just don't think it's practical at this
Mhm.
point. But what I do is go through those. I said do Lee. But what I do is on a regular basis, I go through those and then I try to respond to the ones that need a response. Sometimes people are just saying, hey, by the way, the unboxing ends at a minute 30, so that's not something I have to respond to. But
Yeah.
sometimes people will say, how is this held up? Are you still using this? Have you checked out the new version of this? I was thinking of getting this for my daughter. What do you think? This is a gift for my husband, but he's not a very good golfer. Is this something he can use? Whatever. So I try to respond to those that show that I'm in there responding, and I and
Mhm.
I personally respond. So I have a couple of people that work for me, kind of on behind the scenes, the operations, the editing, and those types of things. But anything that is viewer focused, I really do. So those comments are coming from me, and sometimes people are just being funny, or sometimes people are being like, I don't subscribe to your channel, but I don't know, your videos come up in my feeds like 5 times a week. And I'll be like, well, maybe you should subscribe. So you get to engage with those. And I think it makes you real because to me, there are a ton of channels I follow, and they're almost like television shows to me because there's so many viewers, there's so many comments. Those people can't respond to everything. And so there's this greater distance. There's this kind of virtual distance between you and those creators. And so what I really wanted, and why I like where my channel size is it's nice because there's some critical mass, and yet I can still have, I think, a pretty good back and forth with people, engage with them, even call out or do a video based on someone's comment. Like, I had one that said, You do these things in this video. I'm kind of curious how you do them. And so I did a video about the Descript editing tool that I was using to do like the overlays and the captions. And I did a video on it, so you have that kind of flexibility to be able to respond, kind of real time to some of these things. So, and then some live chats and stuff like that. So I think the issue is, like you said, it's the community, but also being reverent to the community. What do they want to do, and what's the golden rule? Like, how do you want to be treated? And I consume a lot of stuff on YouTube too. So as a consumer, as a viewer, as a subscriber of a lot of channels, I can see sometimes the things that I don't really like and the things that I do, which is exactly why I bias myself towards certain things. Because as you mentioned, I could try to grab every dollar out there, but I think what that would do is it would actually limit you. I think you actually might make less money by trying to maximize every aspect. Now, it's going to be different for different channels, but what are the things that really work for you and your audience, that feel seamless, that feel like they're adding value, and keep your business, your YouTube business afloat, right? So for me, it's really affiliates, the things I produce, write, um, and the ad revenue, which there's no way to get around it. Yeah, honestly, if you don't even have monetization turned on, YouTube is still making money on ads, so people are going to see the ads. I mean, so might as well take that money if you get it.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to happen, and very much like affiliate, right? And Amazon. If you're reviewing a product, people are going to want to buy it. Might as well make sure that you're intersecting that whole purchase journey and making it a little bit easier for people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So you mentioned growing a team and having like other people behind the scenes. How was that, and at what point did you make that leap, that decision to bring other skills into helping to support you with the channel?
It probably started a couple years ago, but I had probably started thinking about it before then. So the reality is, and why, and at least in my opinion, the YouTube game has changed, is that when there was less competition, you had to optimize less. Like I said, one take reviews. When I thought about that, I could just film something real time. Even at the end of those one take reviews, I had a dog at the time, and I would pick up my dog and I would put her in the camera as I was walking around to turn off the camera just to put something in the frame. So those, if you go back to my first videos, you'll probably see my dog in the first 40 or 50 videos. But the reality is, as the platform has evolved and as people have gotten new expectations and a new level and a new standard has been set, people don't have the patience to spend a minute watching what should be 40 seconds, or, you know, 15 minutes watching what could be 10 minutes. And so you just have to respond to those needs, because people aren't looking to just kill time, and they're not also looking to have a lot of dead air and things like that. So to me, my video editing skills were limited to iMovie, literally. I mean, I haven't even used any other editing programs. I don't have Adobe Premiere Pro or any of those. And now I have to script a little bit, which helps edit up some of my talking head videos. But a couple years ago, I realized, one, I like filming. I like communicating with people. I don't like editing. It was just kind of one of those necessary evils that you had to do. It wasn't bad. It just takes time. If you shoot a 10-minute video, you probably have to have 30 or 40 minutes of editing, because you have to watch that whole thing 3 or 4 times, effectively, as you're editing, stopping. So the irony of it is, I could spend all day shooting videos and be super happy, but then I would have to spend the rest of the week editing videos and being unhappy. And there are people that are much better at it than I am and actually love that kind of work. And so at that time, I hired a gal who has been doing that for me, and she's been absolutely great. She's actually got a couple weeks off right now because she's having her first child, but um, I've got some videos in the queue, so I don't have to worry about that too much. So that was one of those things where it was just for the love of what I was doing and trying to separate some of those roles so that you don't lose the love. I actually ran into, I put it on my Instagram channel. I was out in LA for a conference, and I saw Brian Tong walking. I don't know. He like was from CNET. He did the Apple Bite. He does Apple product reviews, and I've been following him forever. And so I don't get starstruck very easily. I mean, I don't know that I do, but it was just kind of funny to see someone who I've like I said, seen on screen, appreciate what they do because I know how difficult it can be. And I was talking to him. I stopped him and we talked for a while, and he still does his own editing. He's a great editor, but I just said, man, one of the things that you might want to do is source that out because it gets you kind of back to just the love of the product, love of the discovery, love of the journey and the hunt and the expedition of it all. And you kind of take away some of that. So I get it's not a perfect thing because it costs money. You probably have to watch that video and send back some feedback, and they will have to do some things, but it has absolutely freed up my time and it has allowed me to stay kind of in that zone of enjoying this and picking the products that I want to share and not getting confused or adulterated by, well, this video is easier to shoot, right? Or if I do this long drone shot, then I'm gonna have to go through all this drone footage. And so you're not cheating your audience out of things that you think are going to be valuable to them just because that you're going to have to pay the piper on the backside on the editing. So my editor does that, and I think the audience is better for it. The videos are more efficient. There are times when she does something that I'm like, oh, thank you for doing that. We try to keep them very simple. My channel is not about high production. Some might say no production value, but yeah, not high production value. This is not necessarily to be a lot of like glamour shots and slow pans and the 24 frames with the color grading. To me, what I really want to do, my core mission here is to bring good ideas to people, show them enough information or the detailed information that they can make a buying decision or a not buying decision, to be really honest, on it. I want them to feel comfortable about what they're going to purchase. There are so many times, and maybe you're the same way. If you go to on Amazon, there are videos there from people, but they don't necessarily show me something like how easy was it to clean up, or because they're very short, and so it can give me some information, but I can't necessarily make a buying or non-buying decision off of that. So that's really what I wanted to do. Put in all of the stuff, even sometimes if it's a little tedious, that allows people to know yes or no, that's for me, yes or no, it's going to add value, yes or no, it's going to make my life better. And so that's really the purpose. Now, if we can make them better and the sound and the colors and all that, great. But my primary purpose here is not to get diverted off of, give everyone enough information that they can make a good decision.
And I think that is absolutely key, right? Like we don't struggle now anymore really with a lack of choice, right? There is an abundance of products in virtually every category. But I think refining those choices down, having someone to curate and advise on even just what to consider, not whether it's a definite purchase or something shouldn't be purchased, but actually to make us think of the different aspects that we should be considering when we're about to make that purchase, I think is absolutely key. And I think that's one of the things I see in your videos and I elsewhere. That's what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking to I just want my life to be easier. And if I can find that through a really sensible, well thought out video that reflects the kinds of considerations I should be making about a product, that's invaluable. That's so hugely time saving.
Yeah, I agree. And, that's why to me, I love watching some of these aspirational channels that $100,000 TV. I'm just not in that category, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it, but I don't know that anyone's going to buy it. I don't even know that I have an affiliate link there because I'm not sure that anyone's going to purchase that. But to me, I am kind of the average person. I am trying to figure out not only what's a good product that serves my needs, but also meets a price point. So I talk about that a lot. Hey, this is a really inexpensive coffee maker, or this is a really expensive one. What's the difference? Because some people will spend $300, $400, $500, $2,000 on a coffee maker. Some people want to be kept out at $40. So what are the options out there? And actually, the secret insight here is that if you watch my channel, you probably won't see them back to back. But if I am trying to find a good quality affordable coffee maker, I've probably bought 4 or 5 of them. The reality is I have. And so I review them because I'm trying to figure out like what's that sweet spot for me particularly. But I'm not going to do a week's of coffee maker. So you might see over the month that I might review 4 or 5 because I'm actually on that hunt myself. And what I want to do is have those different options so that people can say, listen, I don't want a $30 coffee maker. I'm happy paying $100 for it if it's just Starbucks quality. Okay, well then hopefully I've got something for you on that. But there will definitely be times if you're watching the channel that I may have very similar products for kind of a block of time because I'm on the hunt. So that's something that I think as someone like just in the middle America, Midwest. I'm trying to figure out myself. Now I get the chance to try out 4 or 5 for the benefit of my audience, and because I have this channel which supports that. Whereas I'm hopefully doing the work that other people would want to do, but they aren't going to buy 4 or 5 and just settle on one, right? So hopefully that's the value hopefully that I'm producing, and I try to keep them fun. I try to keep them lighthearted and you know watchable. Maybe someone prettier than me is going to have to take over eventually, but thanks to deepfakes, maybe I can turn myself into anyone.
Do you know? But how did you find your personality? Like how was that something that? Because there's so many different ways that you can produce content, and there's so many different styles. How did you? Because you seem very natural. You seem very much you, as if watching any of your videos. I don't feel the conversation in person would probably be that much different. How did you settle on that? Was that a conscious decision?
Yeah, it kind of was. So Lee, this is the first time we've met. I mean, am I what you expected? I guess you've seen some of my videos before.
Yeah, I mean 100%.
That's the funny thing is I've gotten that comment a lot. On both sides of it. So my friends are like, dude, you're just yourself on those videos. Yeah, I totally am. I'm not trying to like affect something. Now, I will say I use a fake name on my videos. I can explain why I had to do that at the very beginning. I don't have to do it anymore, but had to do it at the beginning, or I was required by my employer to do that at the beginning. But um, what I didn't want to necessarily do was get into a spot where I was trying to be something I wasn't, because
Mm,
that's just extra work that you have to do, and hopefully I have a personality that jives with some people. I'm sure it turns off some people. Other people say, hey, watch the video on half speed, that's going to be the right way to watch it. Other people are like, dude, take it down from double espresso to espresso. So some people will jive, some people won't. I mean, that's just the thing of it. But I think if you have a personality and you show that,
mm,
you're going to start connecting and attracting to people that are somewhat like you. And if they're somewhat
mm,
like you, maybe they like the same products, maybe they'll live a similar lifestyle. So I think
yeah.
all of that kind of goes hand in hand with the success of the channel. If you're catching fire, if you're catching traction with people. Now, I will say that um, I maybe have a little bit more of a louder personality. I also have a giant head. I mean, I kind of feel like I have to sit way back here, Lee. But I have a giant head, which is weird because I've actually heard that helps like Hollywood stars, that their head is actually larger than normal. I've actually heard that about like celebrities.
That must be
Um,
the reason then.
yeah, so God just blessed me with this giant balloon head, which helps. But I to me, fundamentally, if I were to back it up to kind of my value system, I think things should be fun. I
Mm,
have been in a career in financial services. That's basically where I stayed my whole life. I have a degree in economics. I worked in financial services for 20 years. Um, and one of the things that I realize is that financial services as an industry tends to be very stoic, kind of plain, kind of buttoned up. And I was always trying to undo that at some level, right?
mm,
One of the things that financial people will do is wear suits. And I really was kind of pushing the polo shirts, fleece vests. To me, I was like, why are we working with these clients that are coming in the Midwest here, in jeans and t-shirts,
mhm,
and we're all dressed up. Now, I get that some people want that, right? Some people want that professional look from their vendors, but some people also just want to be able to relate, and they don't care what you're wearing as long as you produce a good product,
yeah.
good service. And so I was always trying to kind of be more relatable in my professional world, and also say that life's short. Don't take it too seriously. Let's have fun. And just because we're talking about money, and I'm talking about my professional world, just because we're talking about money doesn't mean we can't have fun with it. Just because people are worried about the retirement doesn't mean we can't be inspirational about it. And so I was really trying to just always have fun, make things uh, in a way that people wanted to engage, right? Finances in particular, people just kind of want to do what they need to do. They don't want to really do anymore because it's just not fun. It's like work. They're getting preached to a lot. So I would always try to do that, undo that a little bit, try to make it fun. And so I thought same thing on reviews. Now there are a lot of like faceless YouTube channels that just have data and they scroll pictures and they get a lot of views too, but that just isn't my style. My style was to just connect with people and to kind of back this all up into like the name of the channel. Years ago there was a company called Buell Motorcycles. I think his name was Tom Buell. He founded this motorcycle company. I don't ride motorcycles particularly, but he founded this company. He was doing this interview because he had just, I want to say, sold the company to Harley Davidson, another company that was named after their founders. So Buell Motorcycles named after Buell. Harley Davidson was named after Harley and Davidson, presume, kind of like Hewlett and Packard. And he was just doing an interview, and they said, like, why not call it sport bikes, or like, space age bikes, or whatever, Bike 2000. And he's like, I am a motorcyclist. I love motorcycles. I live and breathe it. My name is Tom Buell. I wanted people to associate my bikes with my passion for bikes. So that's why I put my name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that wasn't really a negotiable when I set up my YouTube channel was I was going to have my name on it, because I wanted people not to have this kind of like formal relationship with some sort of review company. It's kind of like one of those things where, if you ever watch those old infomercials, hey, Billy Mays here for the exciting power of OxyClean, right? It was his name first. It was like, do you like that high intensity energy of Billy Mays? Because if you do, you're going to listen to him for the next 60 minutes as he goes on about laundry detergent. Yeah. So to me, I never thought of myself as trying to be a pitchman or anything. It's kind of a weird way that I ended up doing some of that, maybe. But I wanted people to understand that I was using these products, that I was interested in them, and maybe they were going to be a letdown, but how did they relate to me? And, maybe we could be friends. Honestly, if one person watched my videos and I had one sub and he or she was super engaged, that would have been good enough for me. Honestly, that at the beginning, that would have been all I needed, because I was like, I'm doing it for someone. But fortunately, there have been other people, hundreds of people out there that have also found some sort of value out of it. So I've just been super blessed about it.
And it almost feels like,
so my name's in the title.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like you are the niche.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to say, because it's weird, because sometimes people, like you said, you got to niche down, but then in some ways I have thought about that, where I'm kind of the hub, right? The products are the spoke, and I don't know that everyone sees it, and I don't know that I'm overthinking it, to some extent. But I knew that I couldn't just niche down into one thing. Yeah. I mean, I could. And I did think about splitting the channel up, like Peter Von Panda Tech, Peter Von Panda Outdoors, Peter Von Panda Sports. But then I just thought, would the people that are following me subscribe to them all, because they still just want to kind of follow the thread of my life on top of that and have that dialogue and say, hey, I don't know. But I decided not to go ahead and split up the channels like that, because a lot of people do, and you can probably see them that now they have like their Talking Daily video vlog, and now they have like their news updates, and there are just a lot of guys that do that, and successfully. I just didn't think that was for me. And like I said, to be honest, the channel produces enough income for me to live on, and I am super happy with that, and I'm super grateful to that. I am not a mega channel where I am going to show you the process of me buying my private jet. That's not going to happen. But, if I can kind of find this middle ground where I'm doing what I want, people are getting some value out of it, I'm happy to stay right in this level. In some ways, it's actually a little stressful when you see your subs go up, because you almost feel like there's more responsibility and more burden. Yeah, no, unfortunately, it's not like jumping up 10% a day or anything like that. But the fact that it's climbing is a good sign. But I think it can also weigh on you a little bit. Now, I'm a little irreverent, so whatever, it can be whatever, and I'll still probably do what I want. But yeah, I'm super fortunate about that. But that's why I'm in the name. That's why I don't have other presenters. Some channels will have 4 or 5 presenters doing products, so you might see a different presenter each day. I've kind of thought about that too, but I think I would rather I'd rather support someone who wants to get in this business on their own channel, so that they can get kind of all the value that I've gotten out of it for themselves. Right. Sink or swim, it's not a guarantee, but that's why I'm helping some people, try to get over that 1,000 sub hump, trying to get them more views, trying to explain to them the affiliate sales so that, maybe they do have enough revenue. I think I heard Sean Cannell say something like, the majority of YouTube channels will never make more than $30,000 or $40,000 a year. But the reality is, I think a lot of people would be super happy with that. That if they were netting 30, 40,000, and working on their own schedule and being their own boss and working whenever they want or working remotely or living where they wanted to and be able to do this, they'd be super happy with that. So, I'm certainly in a privileged place, and I think I'm also a bit of an example that you don't need to have mega numbers. You don't need to have 2 million subs, 10 million subs to make a living on this. And a lot of that thanks goes to the affiliate sales and thinking outside the box and being resourceful and courageous enough to go out and try to figure out like what are the different revenue options and cherry picking the ones that are right for you.
So what were some of the, did you go down any rabbit holes or kind of any wrong paths that maybe you followed some advice that wasn't rock solid or believed something that actually you found out later not to be true? Were there any of those kind of dead ends, those kind of revenue cul-de-sacs that you went down?
Yeah, totally. Lee, one of the great things is I've made every mistake. Probably not just in the YouTube world, but in life itself. But a couple things jump out at me like that I kind of remember. I'm not doing them now, um, but a lot of kind of early talking heads were saying like, comment, subscribe. Share this video. Help me with the algorithm. You know, I'm not going to do something to help you with the algorithm if you're not delivering what I want out of the video, right? And so I used to say, if you watch some of those early videos, and if I had the time, I'd probably go and clip them out, but I'd say, thanks for joining me today. Like, comment, and subscribe, and blah blah blah. And it's just dead air time. It wastes time. I think people don't like it. And then especially if you, the novice thing is to kind of like expand on that, because YouTube is hiding my videos, and this way it helps you. Like, dude, it doesn't matter, right? It's just dead air. It turns people off. Everyone understands, I think, how the YouTube system works. If I like a video, I click like. I mean, it's kind of like voicemail. When the beep happens, I know I leave you a message. You don't necessarily need to say after the beep, leave a message, right? I mean, no one's like, do I say the message before the beep or after? So I think a lot of people understand YouTube, and so you don't have to explain that. And so I got rid of that. I just cleaned up the videos. I was trying to put nothing else in there that wouldn't make sense, even at the beginning of my splash screen. So when I kind of set up my hook and say, hey, is this the best coffee maker that you can get for under 35 bucks? I'm just in the coffee maker mood right now. I made my coffee this morning, Lee. So it's not on a coffee channel. In fact, go see James Robinson or whatever his channel is about coffee. But is this the best coffee maker? The splash screen, even that, I got it down to 3 seconds or 2.4 seconds because I wanted that in there, but I didn't want a long intro. I used to have this longer intro, this 30-second intro, 40-second intro. Now when I see those, I don't like it, so I didn't want my people. And actually, my voiceover starts in the splash screen. So you don't need to see my face for those 2 seconds. But, as soon as that splash screen starts, and you'll hear me say, well, my greeting back or whatever, right? I just go into the video. So I try to be respectful of people's time, but still get into things that, I want. There was another one that I was thinking, oh, the other one that I kind of regret doing. I see people doing this. I know some people have great success with it, but it was doing giveaways. So I buy a lot of stuff. And one of the ways that I thought about, helping out subs and kind of getting new viewers was to get these products and giving away my surpluses, right? The things that maybe I'd eBay them or, when I have family over, I'm like, oh, just go downstairs. Everything on the left table is done. Help yourself. And just kind of clearing out. But the reality is you get a bit of adverse selection with giveaways. You start getting these subs that are searching for giveaway or hashtag giveaway. They're subscribing. They're following only the giveaway stuff. They're scrubbing to the part of the video that is showing how to get into the giveaway. And so you're getting kind of like all these empty calories in a way. You're getting growth, but they're not growth that is engaging. Like you said, community at the beginning, they're not ever becoming part of the community, right? They're just there for the product. And so I did a lot of giveaways, and it definitely helped me step up. But what I saw after that, after stopping the giveaways, I saw that things just kind of plateaued. So and then even at some point there was some like you start seeing some drift back down, right? Oh, this guy's not giving away anything anymore. And so yeah, if you want to kind of race up your numbers, your vanity metrics, you can do that. But I don't know that anyone cares. Like I don't care that you had 50% growth this year if it's not growth in the way that is community building, right? Truly community building. So I don't do giveaways anymore. I don't bemoan the channels. I saw a golf channel that I follow. He got a bunch of stuff, and now he's doing his big giveaway. Okay, one giveaway a year. that's not a big deal, right? That's not necessarily creating a pattern, but I was kind of creating a pattern of giveaways that led to growth that wasn't really producing anything material to me or benefiting the community at all. So in retrospect, if I had done kind of more optimization and efficiency of the videos earlier, kind of getting away from some of the old tropes of YouTube, and then also not doing the giveaways. I maybe I wouldn't have been in the same spot, but I would have preferred to do it that way. So actually, what I try to do is, I might have a video from 5 years ago where it still talks about the giveaway, and people will still comment like, "How do I get in this, dude? That was 5 years ago." So I try to go in and edit some of those out when I can, but some of those things still haunt me a little bit. Not bad. I met some good people, but honestly, the real place it dawned on me was someone won something because it was a random commenter that won something, and I reached out to them. I said, "Hey, you won this," and they said, "Hey," and I got a message back that said, "Pete, I've been watching you for years. I love your videos. I support what you're doing. Just keep the giveaway because I don't need it, and you can give it to someone else or sell it, but use it to continue to support your channel." And that honestly was the message that made me realize that the people that are here for the community and the value and me and the other people here are the right people, and they don't care about the giveaways. I mean, there's just a huge dichotomy of the type of people that are reviewing. And I said, that's the kind of person I want. The people that will support this, the people that I don't have a fans folder in my email. I have a friends folder in my Panda email. So when people email like, "Hey, sorry about the loss of the Detroit Lions," or "Hey, heard you're getting bombed with winter storms," or something like that, and respond, those all go into to friends because I don't have any fans. I have friends that have been with the channel for a long time. So,
and I think that is incredible. Like that someone would enter a giveaway not to win, but just to have an opportunity to show their support for you. I think that's that really does, I think, capture really everything about your community and your and the channel that you built, which is absolutely amazing. It's and I definitely hear what you're saying around the incentive of a giveaway attracting those people who are solely there for that purpose. And yeah, I can see where that would fluctuate your numbers up and down. So those are some of the things that you wouldn't do again, right? Some of those revenue cul-de-sacs. But what about some good advice that you either remember hearing or maybe didn't listen to the first time round, but when you did, it sunk in and you thought, "Yeah, you know what, this is a really solid piece of advice and something I'm gonna use and implement."
Lee, I don't know if it's that we're talking, but the one thing that I would totally suggest to people, and I think this is legit, it's not a staged answer or planted answer, because when I'm working with new YouTubers right now, the one piece of advice I usually give them is pick the scalable solution to your problem now. Because the situation that I ran into was that, Amazon is my biggest affiliate program. You can go to Amazon, set up an associates account. If people aren't familiar with it, you get a personalized link. You can put that. If people make a purchase through it, you can commissioned on the purchases they make. This is what I've been talking about with affiliate sales. There's a ton of affiliate marketers out there. This is not a big secret. And it's just a way to get compensated for, I think, the value you're providing. The problem is I was using those links directly in all my stuff, my blog posts, my videos, anything that I was writing. You're just putting, "Hey, if you want this product, here, follow this link." And then a number of things happen. A number of things, right? From Amazon changing the way their system works to me starting to look at views. I would say, I kind of look at the demographics, not super regularly on YouTube, but I look at where the audience is originating from. And, at the beginning, it was 98% US based, right? So I had an Amazon affiliates account for the US. And then over time, it slowly grows. And when you look at the other 2%, you're like, the 2% is split up between India and Germany and Italy and Canada and the UK and, wherever, right? You think it's not worth focusing on that. And it probably practically is not. But the minority of my views now come from the US.
Right.
So what I didn't do right at the beginning was I put myself in a position where all of a sudden I was leaving lots of money on the table. And it's because I didn't look for a scalable solution to those affiliate links at the beginning.
Right.
And this is what I was telling people. One of the reasons I love Genius Links is that you have like these programs where you can start. If you're not going to drive a lot of traffic, it's very affordable. And even when you are driving what I think is a decent amount of traffic, it's still very affordable, especially if you're converting any of these links. But usually what I will tell my new tubers is that what you should do is set up now, because you can still just do it for the US. That's where all your views are coming from. But if you notice now that a bunch of your traffic is coming from Germany, for some reason, I have a lot of traffic coming from Germany. I'm not even sure what the reason is, and maybe a lot of Germans speak English. It's actually kind of why I've named my channel the way it is too. But the reality is, Canada is my second biggest market. UK is my third biggest market. Italy is a big market for me. Germany. I get a lot of clicks from India. I get a lot of clicks from China. So what I didn't do was plan on that. I didn't kind of see the universal access to YouTube. I kind of thought very US centric about it. And now when I get 40% of my clicks from the US, 60% of my clicks from elsewhere, and when you go in and you start seeing that trend, you're realizing, man, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. And then if you go and you set up those affiliate links through Germany and Italy and all those other places, now, and actually what I used to do was, if you're in the US, buy the link from this product. If you're in Germany, buy the link from this product, right? So I had like 6, 7 different links in my description. People don't want to really think about that, and you're kind of creating another barrier to some of those sales. And if anything changes, the products change, the affiliate code changes or something like that. And that happened to me. I changed it from my personal Amazon account to when I incorporated, I had to set up a new business Amazon account, and those links don't carry over. So then I was going through, and I produce a lot of videos, so you have to go back through and change all those, not just change one, but now you have to change 7. Game changer for me was finding Genius Links. And so I get that it might take you a couple of hours maybe to set up an account when you're starting. And you might be thinking, like I did, this is never going to go anywhere. I'm never going to make any money. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not trying to monetize it. Fine. All I'm saying is you should set it up anyway, because if something takes off, if it goes where you don't expect it to go, if you become the next accidental YouTuber, you are going to be so grateful you have that, because now you can go add into the new affiliate programs. You don't have to update the links. And so that was the big one for me. In fact, I had a bit of a panic attack when I started seeing that, and when I changed over to my Amazon business account for my affiliate links, because I realized at that time I had 3,800. I have way more videos out there now, but I had 3,800 videos with old links that I had to go through. And there's no good way of bulk editing in YouTube. And so it was, for a week, all I was doing was like data entry to get those changed. And it was fine because I was going to that scalable solution. But man, if I had just done it from the beginning, I wouldn't have had that stress time. I wouldn't have lost. I probably lost 10 days of affiliate sales. And to me, that's a quarter of a month's revenue, or half a month's revenue almost. And it was a lot. I wasn't seeing any of the clicks. I wasn't seeing any of the sales. I wasn't, and when you get them all updated, then it takes a little while for those to kind of go through, to see the sales book, get through your, maturation process to make sure there aren't returns or defects and fraud and all that. So that was the big learning for me, and especially for someone who relies so heavily on the affiliate sales to make this business work. It's probably 50% of the overall business revenue. It's not something I can just do haphazardly and kind of say I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And I do. I think it's incredible advice there, because we don't know what's around the corner, and everything can completely take off. And if you're not ready for it, then no one wants to spend 10 days going back over links and having to.
We don't know what we don't know. I mean, just like there are careers now, like being an influencer, that I didn't know. My high school career counselor never talked about that, because that didn't even exist. So the stuff we don't even know that's coming around, the stuff that doesn't even exist yet, there's no way to predict it, but just give yourself the best chance of being flexible and adaptable to it, and using the technology out there. And I think, companies like you and people like you understand what we're going through and the pain and the process, and just looking for ways to make it easier, living better. And so, when I can discover these things, I share them with my people. And I think we're all looking for that. We're all looking for the leg up, the advantage to just give ourselves a little bit better life. I'm not, like I said, trying to buy the jet or the house on the cliff or anything like that. But what I'm just trying to do is figure out a way for us to make life enjoyable in the easiest way possible.
I love that. I love that. So I've got to ask, we've been talking all this time and we've not really properly found out why Peter von Panda.
I will tell you where the name came from here. Can I also tell you, this is a little bit of a side, but related to it. My very first sponsorship deal, and this is when you get an email from someone and you think it's fake because it sounds too good to be true. Hey, I work with this big company. We want to partner up with you on something. And I honestly, I got this email. I just ignored it, deleted, probably two more, three times. Like, hey, is this the right email? Because I've been trying to get in touch with Peter. And so I said, hey, let's set up a phone call. We get on this call. It's with this company. My very first brand deal. I'm obviously very skeptical. It's a conference call that has like maybe 3 or 4 other people on the other end of this like speakerphone. And they keep saying, Peter Von Panda. They're like, we've been watching the Peter Von Panda channel. We really want to partner up with Peter Von Panda on this. We think Peter Von Panda would be a good partner, fits our demographic. And the whole time I'm just cringing because you never ever expect some goofy name that you come up with to actually be spoken out loud in any serious way, right? And so it was just like that was probably the moment I was like, did I pick the right name? But you're probably too far into it to change it. But the reality is the reason that the name Peter Von Panda came up was, like I said, the Tom Buell story. I wanted to put my name on it. I wanted people to be able to say in the comment, Pete, what do you think about this? Right, to actually greet me by my real name. To me, it's not a persona. It's just at the time I actually worked for a financial services company and I was doing financial presentations. And one of the things that they didn't allow me to do was use my name to promote publicly anything other than their products and seminars. And so I couldn't use my name because they were worried about showing up on Google. Hey, I want to see this. And if they say, hey, Peter's doing a presentation on Social Security and also on fidget spinners, like they didn't want that. So they didn't allow me to actually, while I was in this role, to use my name. And yet the iPad was coming out or these other products. And I was like, I want to put some stuff out there. So I knew I had to come up with a name that wouldn't hit on Google, that would be, not necessarily associated with it. It was just trying to appease my employer. And so I sat down and I thought about it and I was like, well, I'm Korean by birth. I'm obviously Asian. People will see that. So I wanted to come up with it. So I thought, bamboo or chopsticks. I thought Peter Chopsticks. And I was like, that doesn't really roll off the tongue. And then Peter Panda, that's alliterative. So I picked that. And I was like, well, no one will really think that's my last name. So they'll know I'm using like a fake name. But then on top of that, I'm adopted. So my parents are both of German descent. So, a white couple. And so I grew up in Detroit, kind of in a German household, eating knockwurst, bratwurst, weisswurst, lots of sauerkraut, potato pancakes, all that stuff. And my grandmother spoke German, right? So I kind of wanted to have something that hinted towards that German background, right? Because I'm a little bit of an enigma. You ever see that like Trident commercial where it's like, yeah, Korean Scott, you're an enigma or whatever, contradiction. I was like, he is? Because that's me. That's totally me. So I wanted something, but there isn't a lot in German that I could integrate. But Austria is pretty close, and the Von is it's actually more of a title. They put it in the name, but it's kind of a title for Blue Blood. So if you've ever seen Sound of Music, the Von Trapp family, right? So they put that in there, and it designates an Austrian family of means or whatever. And so because the Germans didn't have that, I thought, all right, I'll put the Von in there. It's still Germanic. Austria speaks German. They're right next to each other. It's kind of a Blue Bloods thing, so it kind of also hints to living a better life a little bit. So that's where I came up with it. So it was Peter Von Panda. And literally, I probably spent the afternoon, right? I probably went through maybe 3 or 4 hours of machinations over that I just told you in the last 30 seconds here. And then when I got there, I was like, that's it. Peter Von Panda, I'm going to do this. And as I told you, Lee, I never believed the channel was going to go anywhere. It was just literally a placeholder to put in there so that I could get the YouTube channel set up so that I could start sharing some stuff. Never ever thinking that I would ever have to speak those words aloud to anyone. And here we are 11, 12 years later, and now it's in contracts. It's my small business name. People mention it. I'm kind of desensitized now to people saying it, but that's that's how it all came about, and that's where it stuck. So
Do you know what? The alliteration that you talk about, like, absolutely, I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I love the backstory to it. I like how you've woven your personality into a name that is yours, but is not your name. I think it's a great the way you've built it together, and I do have to wonder if you knew then what you know now, would you have settled on it as easily?
probably not, because it's a little goofy, you know. And I think there's a Disney character, something called Peter Panda. So if you like Google it, there's a search results that are kind of mixed together. Um, on the other hand, there's also something about my channel where we kind of slaughter the sacred cows. I don't hold a lot of things in reverence. It's just to be fun. It's just to be a little whimsical, and I'm not a totally serious guy. Lee, if you're ever in the neighborhood, we can go out for a pint, and uh, I will tell you the least funny jokes you've ever heard. But that is kind of partly me, and in some ways, maybe Peter Von Panda is a better descriptor of me than my own name, because the names are just given to you. You know, they're not necessarily descriptive of anything. So you might actually know more, although most people, and I've never talked about on my channel where the name came from, but if you know me, if you grew up with me, you'd probably kind of be able to piece it together. But you actually might know more about me from the name subconsciously than you realize. So yeah, you know, it's what I've got, and I'm going to run with it. Now I have no plans on changing it. It served me well, and to be honest, maybe I wouldn't have had the same success or the runway that I did with something else, you know, with
Yeah.
uh, Pete's Tech Reviews, or you know, you just never know. But I would also say that there's probably more to it beyond the name. You could have probably named it Pete. And if you're doing quality stuff, if you're providing value, if you're being entertaining, if you're making connections, you know, if you're trying to help solve a need for people, then I think you'll get to where you need to go. I know a lot of people obsess about channel names. I just don't think people care as much, but it is nice to be able to just have that name out there, that people still greet me by my name, that people will still say, "Hey, Pete," when they see me out there. They don't even have to know my last name, but they know, you know, I don't have to say, "Well, my first name actually is Edgar," you know, or something like that. But it's uh it's it's what I got, and you know, honestly, I'm grateful for it. So
Oh, an incredible story behind it. I absolutely love it, and I do genuinely believe it's a one of the reasons behind your success, and I think it's a great grounding as well for your content. So yeah, love that you've shared that with us. This exclusive reveal of the details behind the mystery behind the name. You've been an incredible guest. Very generous with your time. I want to thank you for spending some time sharing your wisdom with our audience. I have one last ask for you: is what's that one tip, trick, or piece of advice that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
I would say try a bunch of things. Try a bunch of things, because I think, like you said, a lot of people try to niche down, you know, and this was a thing that I saw over and over again, and I didn't do that. And I still found kind of my path without doing that. But I think if people niche down too early or too specifically, they might not see where they can catch fire with other things. I think sometimes we're not necessarily great at self-awareness of like what we do well or where our passion really shines through. And I also think that sometimes people overlook things that they're very good at, but they think are commonplace. You know, I'm a great programmer, everyone can program, or I'm a great singer, everyone can sing. You know, so I don't know that a lot of times what we think we're going to be successful at will be successful at. And so I would tell people, you can niche down if you want, and if it's working for you, great. If you repair home furnaces and that's what you know and that's what you're great at, and there's not a lot of market out there, you can probably be successful at it. But if it's not working, share some of the other things. And if you find that your videos about vacations are taking off, or your videos about raising children or repairing cars or whatever it is taking off, then you can double down on those, right? And then chase that too. But I think sometimes people are trying to kind of force themselves into an alleyway that just won't grow for them, and they get frustrated with YouTube, they get frustrated with content creation, and they if they pivoted a little, if they tried something else, if they showed another aspect of their life, that may have taken off. And like I said, right now my working title of my book is The Accidental YouTuber, because I didn't know. I didn't know, and I don't think people that are starting out can really know. And so it's kind of like, what sport are you good at? It's hard to know unless you start trying sports. It's hard to know what content you should be creating until you start trying to create different content. But when you get that winning hand, when you're sitting at the blackjack table and you've got 21, or you've got eights to split or tens to split or something, double down on it, roll with it, let the universe kind of guide you. Don't be oblivious to the signs, and, try some new stuff. And especially if you're having trouble breaking out, if you're having trouble kind of getting out of your own way, maybe try something new, try some new content, try a new angle on it, get some feedback, but be open to that and not just necessarily try to force feed something out there. So, explore more,
That's
live
wonderful.
better.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Finally, where's the best place to find Peter Von Panda?
YouTube.com/Peter Von Panda is a great place to go. I would love for people to stop by, say hi, put the comments in there. I'm on all the other social media platforms as well, so you can engage with me all over the place. But I'm just looking for people to share their ideas. And if you've got some great ideas, I would love to share those with everyone else on the channel as well. Let's help the community help each other.
Thank you so much. You've been an incredible guest. Really appreciate your time today. Enjoy keeping going on that incredible road to revenue you've got going.
Lee, thank you so much. It has been super fun to be here and to get to meet you.
Thanks. Stay awesome.